Welcome to Capital Connect, a GTM podcast featuring the business leaders shaping the capital region and making an impact on our future. Conversations about growth, culture, and what it really takes to build something special in our region. Running a business in the capital region means wearing many hats, but managing payroll with spreadsheets and paper time cards doesn't have to be one of them. GTM Payroll HR simplifies your payroll with a secure cloud-based platform that runs payroll accurately and on time, allowing you to focus on what you do best. Visit gtm.com/business. And now here's your host, Kito Delgado.
Welcome back to Capital Connect. I am your host, Kito Delgado, the business sales manager here at GTM. And today, I am pleased to connect with Ryan Hungershafer. Ryan, thank you for joining us. Beyond the title, for people who don't know who you are, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Ryan Hungershafer. I'm a founding partner of Spring Street Financial. It's a financial services firm underneath the Northwestern Mutual umbrella. Local products, born and raised in Niskayuna, went to Siena, and never left. Maybe never will. We'll see.
Well, why would you leave the capital region? It's a great concept. The weather. There's a lot of different reasons.
There's times of the year I'm going to leave. There's times you can't play golf year round. How's that for an answer?
There you go. Well, let's just start with home base. Obviously, I'm raising a family now in Niskayuna. You grew up in Niskayuna.
Yeah.
But you also are, as you just mentioned, a graduate of Siena. And fun fact, you also played football.
Yes.
As Siena, as we
many years ago.
Many years ago. What position did you play? And how did you playing sports in college?
Yeah.
How has that shaped you as a leader, as an owner?
Yeah, I played wide receiver. I was usually captain of a team in high school, and I love the sport. I love the sport of football. I think Tom Brady said it best. It's hard, so you should play it, right? And I love everything about it. I love the discipline. I love the locker room. I love, catching a pass, all that stuff. Sometimes I think I can still do it, but boy, the body isn't letting me perform like I used to. So I think the parallels between any sport and certainly the higher the level, the competition, the overcoming failure, I've been here before. Maybe it's not the same thing, but I've overcome this before. I've overcome hard things. And I think the more you get up and you do that and you face those fears, the stronger you're going to be as a leader and in building a business.
And now as you built your business, obviously you were, we were just talking about before, your former coach was the youngest Division I coach at the time. Now he's a defensive coordinator at a major university. What lessons did you learn from, a coach as far as leadership goes?
Yeah, we had a lot of successful people come out of Siena football, believe it or not. I know it's forgotten at this point, but we played our games at Heritage Park, so I grew up watching the Albany County Yankees, so that was cool. But yeah, we had the youngest Division I. We were Division I AA at the time, and we had the youngest Division I head coach in the country. And to see his success and his path, I think he always knew that guy was going to do something pretty big. But he was tough. He was young and still in that competitive mindset. And there's stories and there's times I remember him, really getting out there and playing me one-on-one and jamming me up. And that was, those stories stick with me of, okay, it's okay to have that passion, that fire, even when you're losing games, even when the program is probably on the downslide. He was all in and committed. And I think fighting through when you're losing, that's tough to do.
Mm-hmm. And one thing you just mentioned that I think is important for leaders is he said sometimes he went out and he went up against you. So as a leader, it's easy to say, do as I do, right? Mm-hmm. And it's important that once in a while you got to say, I'm going to put the clipboard down, put the whistle down, put the hat backwards and show you, right, by example, absolutely, what I want you to do. So I don't know about you, but I struggled because I played football in college. When I first graduated, I played football for so long, and now all of a sudden it's gone, and I'm in the real world. Yeah. Are there any struggles with life after football, or did you have a pretty good?
That's a great question.
Off ramp.
I did turn the page. I started in an all commission based business, the insurance and investment business, the financial services. They're all all that verbiage is intertwined. So I felt like I had that competitive okay, you got to be structured. You got to get this stuff done. And I've done everything that I'm asking people to do now, but there are times I'll roll up my sleeves and say, you know what, I did today. I said, today I just need to dive in and have the team see me do what I'm asking them to do. That servant leadership. I'm walking around the office. If something's messy, I clean it up. I wash my dishes. Those little things that I think, most things are caught, not taught. So I try to emulate that with my son and certainly at home, but that goes for the workplace too. And so if they can see me being willing to do the hard stuff, I think that's helped build our culture. And I have partners, so we all get along really well. We all emulate that servant leadership.
We're going to get into the culture in a little bit, but this is digging a little bit on servant leadership. If you had to define it, how would you define servant leadership?
Yeah, it's doing the things that nothing's beneath you, right? It's doing the things that you expect others to do. It's treating other people. It's giving back. It's being a good steward. That mindset of leaving the world better than you found it. So I think all of that gets wrapped into when I think about it. I think about, am I going to have a great day or a good day? And I get to make that choice every single day. And I just think, am I going to show people the right way to live? One of the things that I heard a long time ago, and football, sports in general this really speaks to me. There's motivational leaders, right? There's inspirational, and then there's aspirational. And I loved motivation in football, but that was short-lived. It was quick. It was before the game. It was at halftime. It was, maybe even before a play, you got to psych yourself up. Certainly, the inspirational, there's a lot of inspiring stories out there. There's a lot of people that have it a lot worse off than I do. So, I need to go and take the talents that I've been given, the work ethic, and I don't want to have any regrets. And then aspirational, when I heard that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was probably in my 30s maybe. I just said, I do want to be somebody that other people, mainly my son, his friends, the boys I coach youth football, youth lacrosse, that they can see somebody that they can inspire to be like how they treat other people. So that's really where all that kind of wrapped up.
I had another question, but I can't help but notice, even before we started the interview, but now, and in our short time since we started rolling, you've mentioned fatherhood, your son, a couple times. So, talk to me about, the responsibility that you take on. I can tell it means something to you, to be a father.
Yeah, it's the best. And he's going to turn 12 later this year, and he's starting to get independence. And I'm not going to cry. I get a little choked up because he doesn't need me as much, which is my job. But that's my role. That's my job, is to prepare him for the real world, to be a leader. So how we talk around the house, how we step up in the community, those are all things I want to remember. We don't talk about it. Again, that caught, not taught. I heard that in an old podcast with Ed Milet. There's some leadership stuff, but
actually, listen to his podcast.
He's good. Yeah, the caught, not taught. It's just a good, just sticks with you. So it reminds you. But early on, when business it's a lot, and building a business is a lot, and I had to put a sign on my door that said, "Your most important job starts right now." Right? Business, good stuff, bad stuff, yeah, every single day that'll happen. But he gets to see me, and I don't have a lot of patience. I score on all these Myers-Briggs and everything. I don't score great on patience. I have very low patience. So having him made me a better person in general, because I had to be patient with a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old. Then you look back, I think once you get a lot of experience, there was games when he was in 3rd grade where you thought it was everything when you're in it. Now you see 3rd graders playing sports, you're like, that was nothing. That was just fun.
Yep.
So I try to keep things in perspective. So yeah, he's definitely changed me. That's my guy.
I can do the same. I can say the same. My daughter's 12, going on 13, and I'm like, on one hand, I'm so excited that, she is gaining that independence. But then on the other hand, you're like, do I exist?
My baby.
Where's my baby? But let's, and I can talk fatherhood, I can talk sports all day, but let's kind of talk shop a little bit, because you mentioned you took an all-commission job, right out of sales job out of college. Talk to me about, how did you get into wealth management?
Yeah.
What went behind that decision? And then, why did you decide to, really partner or in collaboration, if you will, with Northwestern?
Yeah, good question. I did an internship, actually. I just thought that was good for the resume. I actually got rejected from their internship the first time. They said they were full. Management loved hearing that 5 years later. I think that recruiter got fired. But yeah, so I love the lifestyle I saw people living and liked they sold me on impact, very important. They sold me on independence, very important. My little brother, who's 9 years young, I have two little brothers, younger brothers. One is 9 years young. I mean, he was playing lacrosse, ended up being an All-American, and I wanted to be at every game of his. That was important. So when I heard independence then, I said, well, someday when I have my own family, that's going to be a game changer too. So independence mattered to me. And income potential, it really hooked me. I really did want to make a lot of money for the reasons I had a vision, and I knew where I wanted to live and how I wanted to live and how I wanted to give back. So those things spoke to me. And Northwestern Mutual gave me that opportunity. And then probably, 18 years into it, I'm 25 years or so in this year, I guess, 24. People I had worked with for a long time, employees and other advisors, we formed a partnership, and that's how Spring Street started today. But that was just like-minded people that really wanted to go, that whole adage of if you want to go fast, go alone. But we wanted to go far. So we went together. And that's where Spring Street was founded. And now I have 3 partners, and continuing to grow very, very fast.
So let's talk about when you have partnerships, how do you divvy up who does what? Talk about that, for, our business owners out there, and they're thinking, I maybe you want to bring in a partner, but they're afraid because of, whatever misconceptions they may have. So let's just speak to that a little.
I've seen partnerships not work. When I was younger, my dad is a contractor, and he had a partnership that didn't work out. It didn't scare me because we were able to date before we moved in together and before we got married. So we all worked in the same office. Our oldest partner is 61 or something. The 3 founding partners, 61. I'm now 45, and our other partner is 38. We've since brought on another partner, and we have quite a list of people we're going to bring on over the next 3 to 5 years that deserve it. They're working hard to deserve it. So we knew each other for, I don't know, in some cases 8 to 15 years. We knew each other. We worked closely. As far as breaking up the roles, that's it. That really came down to a couple of things. One, skill sets that we knew we all had individually, from the use of not only time and observing, but also some of these Myers-Briggs types of tests. We use one called the Culture Index. So my one partner has a real passion for the marketing side of things. I have a real passion for the development side of things, bringing on new advisors onto our team and developing them. And then our oldest partner, who he has a passion for running the finances and helping run the firm. And so now all of us are still producing. That's how it goes right now. All 3 of us still see clients. We love our clients. It would be hard for any of us to give that up.
So now, what makes Spring Street different, special?
Yeah.
Why you versus another advisor?
Yeah, I mean, it's our value prop, and of course everybody can say that, but our clients know we live it, right? We have our values of growth, and we're growing at about 22% compound annual growth rate right now. Reliability, I don't know if an email has ever or a phone call has gone unanswered for more than an hour. We're almost too good there. Integrity, we've always done everything acting with integrity. And in collaboration, we're collaborating with the clients. We're collaborating with the team. So our team is 21 people large now.
Nice.
And that collaboration is really important to us because I can't know everything. And we have this partnership with Northwestern Mutual, which is a Fortune 150, I think. And so the resources we get from them, you start collaborating on true financial planning between the insurance side of the business, the investment side of the business, the estate planning side of the business, the tax side. You have to tie it all together, and you can't be one person. You have to collaborate. That's how we do things.
Talk to me about, you just mentioned, like how you said 21, you said 21 strong?
I think we're 21 strong right now. I have 4 partners and 17, yeah.
I like how you just said strong. So I think you used that on purpose. So how do you go about building a strong team? Are there characteristics that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Like what, because you want to make sure, you just said it, you don't think there's been a time where an email takes more than an hour to be replied to. So how do you go about finding talent, identifying it, all those good stuff?
I didn't know I said that.
You did.
I didn't.
It
It just
right
comes
off the
out.
tongue.
Yeah, there's some actual tangible tools. I mentioned this culture index that we use, these personality tests. We do use that. We're students of the game. We're constantly reading. We're constantly focused on podcasts and books and all of those things. So we spend a lot of time. Gino Wickham with EOS and the Rocks and the 90-Day Rocks. And so we're focused on it as a team there. Another one would be John Gordon. So we talk a lot about, do we have the right people on the bus first and foremost? Let's make this a macro decision. Do we have the right people on the bus? And if we do we have the right people on the bus and then in the right seats? And so, I think when we interview people, we know what role we're looking for. Certainly some of it's tangible designations and licensing. That's a big part of ours. But we know pretty quickly if someone fits in. And our culture is everything. How we treat our clients is everything. And, 20 plus years later for me, 30 plus years later for my partner, Pete, our client retention rate is our scorecard. And it's very, very high. So
A client retention rate is our scorecard. I love that. So you built this obviously in collaboration. I'm not giving you all the credit because, again, you've mentioned your partners a couple of times. But just for the purpose of the interview, you built, a great organization. What's it feel to be able to do it right in your backyard, right? You mentioned it. You're born and raised here in the Capital Region, went to college, and then obviously you've been building your business. What makes the Capital Region, so special for you to do that?
It's special. Building it in the Capital District with all the ties that we have, my mom was born and raised in Albany. My dad was born and raised in Schenectady. There's family everywhere. So I feel like it's branched out that I almost can't go somewhere without knowing somebody and connecting to them. And when you start to get to know the fabric of the Capital District, now you mix in Siena, which is obvious, the connection around here. And then you get to a point where it's bigger than you. It's bigger than just your firm. It's how can you give back? And you see your communities and you identify some spots that maybe, I personally think can be done better. And that's where you get involved in, whether it be financially or with your time or both, boosting your community. So the Capital District is a special place. We have our problems, but listen, I think it was Kanye or 50 Cent or someone that said, look, if you think the grass is greener, you should water your own lawn. Mm-hmm. And I think if we can continue to give back to those communities and understand the history of it, that's the awesome part about it is I know the history of Albany from my mom. I know the history of Schenectady from my dad. It's just, I don't mean to be romantic about it, but
you have a sense of pride.
It's a sense of pride. Yeah.
Your employees are your greatest asset, so why not give them benefits that show it? From health insurance to voluntary benefits to retirement plans, GTM helps Capital Region businesses build benefits packages that attract and retain top talent. We work with major local carriers and provide practical tools to automate open enrollment and benefits administration. Get a free consultation at gtminsurance.com to learn more.
What can you think the Capital Region can do? Because now we have two different people here. Me, I'm born and raised in Schenectady. I went to school in Boston. I lived away for a little bit, but eventually me and my wife both moved back to the Capital Region. And now you obviously just have planted your flag. You never left. What can the Capital Region do, you think, as a whole, a little bit better to keep our top talent here? Or maybe not do better, but what are some things that maybe we can promote to young students and college graduates to say, hey, come to the Capital Region, or if you're from here, maybe leave, but come back.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not tasked with these jobs in politics in Albany, and because I think it's hard. I really do. Our weather's tough, so that's a big part of it. Now with the fact you can do Zooms, of course I'd love to see sport teams, but we don't support them all that well. So I think it's hard. I think what we need to do, and I don't know how to do this. I don't have the actual solution, we need to find a way to build the culture where everybody is a majority of people anyway are proud to be where they're from, that they're engaged in their communities. And I know that's not going to happen. I know this is some type of, kind of utopian land, but if each person, and maybe it starts in education, maybe it just takes a long time, could really start taking pride in who they are and where they're from. And again, I don't have ideas on how to change the education system other than we should be teaching finance a lot younger and repetitively. But if we can get more people engaged in what real life looks like and then having pride in where they're from, I just think it's got to be a culture shift. I think it's on us. I don't think it's on our leaders. I think individuals need to be the leaders in companies. And we have so many great examples of that. But
you just mentioned it, financial literacy, it should be taught, and we taught repetitively. What are some things, being the professional that you are, the expert, if you will, you won't say it, I'll say it for you. But yeah, what are 3 lessons you just wish, all young children, you wish they all knew?
Compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. It's undefeated. It works. You just can't catch up. The rule of 72 would be number 1. If they don't know the rule of 72, they can hear it first here, fine, but they need to Google it and they need to learn it and they need to know it. And it just basically says the number 72 is constant. The rate of return you get on average divides into it. And that's how often a pile of your money doubles. So if you get 7% on average a year to make it easy, let's use 8, 8 or 9, whatever someone says the S&P 500 does, which is the stock market. For the kids who aren't listening or should be listening.
And not even just for the kids. There are some parents,
that's true,
young professionals that listen to this, recent college graduates that didn't get this information. So let's just keep it real basic.
Yeah.
And understand.
Listen, 72 divided by 8, if you're getting 8% on average a year, your money doubles every 9 years. And if you're 45 like me, you don't have as many doubling periods as the 25-year-old. Right? So 10 grand will go to 20 grand to 40 to 80 to 160 to 320 to 640. My 10 grand, if I do the same as a 25-year-old, it's only getting to that 20 to 40 to 80 to maybe 160. So compound interest is number 1. And then there's more tools available than ever before, but you don't have to learn on your own. You have to find somebody you trust, and trust is built over time. And so there's a shortage in our profession. So if people are listening, they can certainly go to our profession and be financial advisors. But there's plenty of teams out there. There's no shortage of knowledge and seeking out there. But rule of 72, compound interest, and then just not being afraid of the news, the noise. It's just every time. It doesn't matter. It's what's going on now or a year ago or 10 years ago. The situation's unique. The reason the markets move is unique, but it's never different at the end of the day. It always ends up better at the end of the day. So stick with it, put your money in, use 401ks, IRAs, use investment accounts, make sure you have cash in the bank and that type of thing.
So speaking of that, obviously employers play a role in helping their employees, for retirement, right? But even so, beyond our 401k, 403bs, like, are there some advice that maybe, or tips that you can share as that employers can deploy to not only help their employees for their personal, but then also as an employer, it may help them attract and retain top talent? Because I don't know about you, I don't want to speak for you, but I've connected with a lot of business owners, and probably the number 1 struggle, and I'd love to get your feedback, struggle that they have is, my goodness, finding talent.
Yeah.
And then keeping my top talent. Is that something that it's multiple questions?
Yeah, well, it is hard to find talent, keep talent. Certainly if you're open to a more a wider lens of the country and having people remote, that's obviously a little bit different too. But I think when you really boil it down, I don't know if I believed this when I was younger, but people want to be challenged. They do want to know they have a growth opportunity. They do want to know, the benefits, of course, and they might be checking those boxes early to check boxes, but really it's about the culture. It's about so how can you emulate that? Can you get them in front of other people? But education's a big part of this. So as the employer, are you educating your employees randomly with nothing, nothing to look to get back from it other than just a good environment of here's how your 401k works. Or is it just HR saying, here's your 401k, you put in 3, we match 3. Are you going deeper and talking about Roth option versus pre-tax? Are you talking about, well, this says you'll have this much money at the end of the day. A lot of statements will say that. Some statements don't say anything. Or do you have a relationship with, maybe there's a financial advisor that would work with those people. Maybe the employer could pay that financial advisor team. There's plenty of examples in the Capital District of companies that will do that, big companies. And they'll let, maybe their executives or other employees have access to a financial advisor. So I think there's those things you can do that are outside health insurance and comp and salary and vacation time that fall into the education category.
Okay, it's awesome. What do you like most about being an entrepreneur?
I love my schedule.
Yeah.
I love my independence. I really do. I love how every season of my son's life so far and my professional life, I've been able to design it around there. So I was told you should live life by design, not by default, by somebody when I first started in the business. And, you could talk about Stephen Covey and talk about, the start with the end in mind and vision planning. I'm not surprised at where I am right now because I always had a vision to be where I am. Whether I believed it or not is that's actually not something I question, because there was plenty of times I doubted I would be where I am. So now I'm reframing the vision of where do I want to be in the next 20 years. But I love the independence of being an entrepreneur, of coaching everything that my son does. I love all of that.
And you just mentioned about the time. I think time is obviously our most important commodity. Can't have enough time.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes it goes fast. You're like, oh my, you look up. Yeah. I think kids are a good reminder.
Right.
It's now and their friends. You're like, I remember you.
It's wild.
It's crazy. But on the flip side, another way of looking at time in a positive light is, and in entrepreneurship, is the flexibility and the ability that you have to not only be there for your kids, but then for others in the community. So we talked about, earlier before we went live, but you're really involved in a couple of different nonprofits here in the capital region. So can you speak to, your involvement and really, how you got involved with Folds of Honor and others and other initiatives?
Yeah, Folds of Honor is a special one. It raises money for wounded and deceased service members and now first responders, children, for scholarships. And, the mission video is on YouTube, and it's very touching. It's hard to get through without crying. But, my friend Tommy O'Connor, who's a great leader and stepped up and took on building a New York chapter. I bumped into him and it just was all right. And the mission spoke to me. So now giving back with my time is great for Folds of Honor, but now we're more of a financial supporter, and that feels good. I had a friend from elementary school who unfortunately did pass away after his time in the service. He was a great football player, walked on in Miami. And we were able to secure 2 scholarships for his sons. And when I got the phone call that they were secured, I remember where I was playing golf, and I just dropped to my knees. I was just so, emotional. So Folds of Honor is one. I think the other one is, I looked up to youth coaches and certainly coaches when I was in high school. But when you start coaching youth sports, you can see the kids that need something more. And that doesn't mean you look at them, you verbally give it, or sometimes you do. You can tell who needs a pat on the back, and you get to know these kids. So I've had the pleasure of being with the same kids now in football for 5 or 6 years. The parents have become my friends. The kids have become my son's friends. And those kids that need, you get to know them, and you know what their home life is like a little bit. And that doesn't mean you step in or overstep bounds, but if you can just be that positive role model. So that's where it all came from, is, there's people out there that didn't have the same stuff to catch, the caught, not taught, that I had growing up. And I saw that my whole life. I think the other thing is, from a leadership standpoint, I think I've always been really good at not only looking at good leaders and what I want to emulate, but looking at bad leaders and what I don't want to emulate. And if we can learn from other people, obviously we can go much faster, much quicker.
No, Learn from the mistakes of others. Right? Learn on their dimes.
And there's
Not yours.
there's no shortage of mistakes out there.
What do you? I mean, let's just talk about it. And obviously, without mentioning names or anything like that, you don't want to put anyone on Front Street, if you will. But what's something that you saw, someone who had the leadership title possibly.
Yeah.
But what's a mistake that you really want to make sure, like, no, I'm not making that mistake.
Yeah, I mean, it always comes down to ego. I think it's making mistakes and not apologizing for them the right way. Directly. I've seen people use email, which is just not a good way. I've seen people just get too complacent. Let the next level below them, or even the level below that, take over the day-to-day stuff and not identify who has the charisma, who's the culture builder. And everybody's responsible for culture. Don't get me wrong. But ultimately it falls on the leader. And if they're in a leadership position and they're choosing to act like a manager, I think that then we should stop calling them a leader. We should call them a manager. And there's nothing wrong with that, but managers should be leading. I think everybody on our team, I'd like them to be leading themselves, no matter what their title is. But most of those mistakes I've seen is just getting complacent, and not doing what always works, not building the culture or thinking it's built, because it's not built. You got to constantly build it.
So what do you think is more difficult then? That's a great point you just made. Is it starting a business or scaling a business? Because you got to, like, which one do you think is more of a challenge?
Starting. Yeah. Scaling, there's always a challenge. Growth, I mentioned earlier, we're growing very, very fast, but that's just compounding. Call it the rule of 72. We looked at our numbers for halfway through the year, almost, projected here. And 3 years ago, we are exactly double where we were 3 years ago. I mean, to the date. And on one hand, I was kind of surprised, but on the other hand, I sat there and said, well, we were growing at 22%. 72 divided by 22 is 3, right? Close enough to it. So, but I think starting out, the doubt and the overcoming the doubt is just, it's not daily. It's many, many times throughout the day. I don't have the doubt anymore of, is this right for me? I don't have the doubt that we can overcome any problems. So it's more of a, we can solve this mentality versus we can be able to solve this mentality.
You mentioned it earlier, the future, right? In 25, 20 years from now, when it's all said and done, 2 questions here. Why do you do what you do? But then why, where do you hope to, when you, maybe you won't, but I don't know if you plan on working forever, but 25, like, my first question is, why do you do what you do? But then, to piggyback that is, where do you hope to be 25 years from now?
Yeah. I mean, I said, let's say we started Spring Street in 2020. I said, I'm really looking forward, and I was 40 in 2020. I said, I can't wait till I'm 90 to come back and see the 50th anniversary of Spring Street and maybe see what offspring of mine are working there. So, what really got me into it was the income potential at the time, and seeing people that I thought, right or wrong, I used them as motivation of, I can be like them, or can I be like them, and testing myself. But what's really become important now to me is the impact. I wake up every single morning and I say, okay, it starts with all of our stakeholders, all of our shareholders, which are, of course, our clients. How can I be better for them? Our families, but our team, there's certain people on our team that literally wake up every day and I say, okay, I know I can make their life better over time by just giving them a better work environment, by using our talents to continue to work hard and therefore increase revenue and pay them more and give them more benefits, give them more opportunity to grow. So, as we scale and continue to grow, those are the people, the foundational people that I keep in mind of why we do what we do. And that's the most important driver for me now, is that impact. And 20 years from now, that impact should only just be larger and larger.
You've had some amazing answers throughout this entire interview, but that's one of my favorite ones, if I'm being honest, because it's 100% about I think a lot of leaders and entrepreneurs, listen, they deserve the fruits of their labor. They deserve, all the rewards that come with the risk that they took. But in my line of work, at times, not always, but there have been times when I've been meeting with a business owner or a leader, and I'm like, they really don't respect, they don't have any care for really their team members, their staff. What does it mean to you? Like, I can tell it matters that, like, you care about people in your care, under your care. I just want, it's not really in the question, I just wanted to commend you on that answer and for living that, because I think if more entrepreneurs like really had that level of care for their employees, obviously it'd be good for the organization, but then obviously it would help their employees better themselves and their lives. I'll get you out on this, my man. Okay. So it's a tradition that we have here on Capital Connect. Obviously Dave Dussault, earlier from P1 Industries, he's the one that recommended that we get you on the show. And so Dave, thank you for connecting me and Ryan here. So the question is, who should we connect with next on the podcast? But the only caveat is you have to help us get him on the show.
Yeah, that's no problem. And I was flattered when Dave said it because, I started as an entrepreneur. So I was scared, but I had a system to follow. That guy, he went starting at GE and being with him and being his financial advisor for 20 plus years here, that meant a lot because he's built something different. I think about Tommy O'Connor, who was with Mohawk Paper family, a business for multiple generations, then Mohawk Insurance, and he's always someone that impresses me. His partner Justin Riccio, they built something pretty special in a very short period of time. They impressed me for sure. On the spot, well,
you just answered it.
Those are great ones. Yeah, I know some really good people. I do know some really good people.
Listen, I think we're going to start with who you went with. Tommy?
Tommy, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go with Tommy. So
Tommy and Justin are partners.
Connect me with Tommy or Justin, and we'll get them on the show. But Ryan, appreciate you.
Yeah,
I wish you nothing but continued success.
Thank you. Likewise.
All of you watching, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, my man.
When's the last time you updated your employee handbook? If it's been a while, even after a year, it may not reflect current laws or how you run your business today. GTM's expert HR consultants will write or refresh your employee handbook from scratch. Schedule a complimentary consultation at gtm.com/business. That's a wrap on this edition of Capital Connect. Thanks for listening and for supporting the businesses and leaders that make the Capital Region such a great place to work and thrive. Support for Capital Connect comes from GTM Payroll and HR, helping businesses streamline their operations with leading workforce solutions technology and local dedicated support so you can get back to what you do best. Learn more about payroll, HR, and insurance solutions at gtm.com/business. We release new episodes every week, so subscribe to the podcast to catch our next episode. We'll see you next time.